Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited today because we have a legend in the game. He's been doing it since 2003, flipping a ridiculous amount of houses, over 4,000 transactions, doing 200 plus last year, same thing the year before, on track to do 300 or so this year. Coming from Virginia, really focused on fix and flips initially, then jumped into wholesaling, then a little bit of mixture of both. What's incredible, what really blows me away, is systemizing a business that does this much volume, this much impact, employing these many people, and still only putting in about 1 hour of his own personal time per week. Talk about incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Building any business, let alone a successful multi-million-dollar business that is making the impact and the ripple effect that it is not easy. So selfishly, I can't wait to pick some gold nuggets on how the heck you do something like that. I think that's the end goal and the big dream for a lot of people. But on top of that, his heart is in a position that he wants to get people to a place of more freedom and happiness. And so he's got his own podcast helping out a lot of people do exactly that. And I'm really just excited to be able to get this time. I don't even know, with all that other free time, you're only doing 1 hour of work a week. I mean, maybe you got an abundance of everything. What's going on, man? How we doing today?
We're doing awesome. And yeah, I spend all of my time now just honing the craft on the freedom and happiness side. My life was changed so drastically 3 years ago, and I was given this gift, and it was such a precious gift that one I've never gotten before in my life, anything like it. And I was just like, I got to give this gift back. So that's where I spend all my time. This is why God put me on this earth, is to do this work, not flip houses. Yeah. But I know a lot about flipping houses, and you guys will learn a lot today about flipping houses. But even more importantly, someone's life will forever change, and their relationship with their spouse and their kids will forever change, and possibly for generations to come, from what you're going to hear in the next 30, 40 hour.
Yeah, let's go. I'm excited for you, brother. Brad, for anybody out there that doesn't know who you are, where you're from, that 10,000 foot view, do you mind just diving into it a little bit for the listeners?
Sure. Yeah, sure, man. I'll go all the way back to ninth grade. I read a book on how to buy real estate with no money down, and knew I wanted to do real estate because I wanted to make a lot of money. And I wanted to make a lot of money back then because I grew up kind of on both sides of the train tracks, to say. There was time where we thought we were going to lose our house because my parents got divorced, and thought we were going to have to move into public housing. I think that had a huge, huge effect on me. I think I correlated to, if you don't have money, you die, because public housing to me was go to public housing and get shot. And then a couple of years later, I'm, flying first class with my dad. So it was a real dichotomy, but I wanted to make a ton of money. So always had real estate in the back of my mind. And in 2002, late 2002, an investor bought my neighbor's house. Went and talked to him, and he said, yeah, I buy houses at, well below market, fix them up and resell them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm going to do. And I put my mind to it. I just had a son born. And so I'd come home from a full-time job and stay with him from 6 to 8, put him to bed, and then go pound we buy houses signs, write hundreds of envelopes, absentee owners from the tax roll. And it took me, Brandon, 8 long months to find my first deal. And then in July and in August, I bought 6 houses total, had $60 grand in the bank, had a negative $80,000 net worth. So I guess if you take the 60 and put it towards the 80, I had a negative $20,000 net worth. So I went to my boss and I was like, I quit, and I'm starting Express Home Buyers. I came home, I told my wife, I quit. And she's like, have you lost your mind? We have a newborn son and I have 2 kids. And I'm like, it'll be fine. And
figure it out.
Here we are 22 years later. Good Lord. I usually say 20 years, but when I think about it, that was 2003, 21 years later almost. And everything's been fine. 4,000 houses. We're not still married, but actually things are way better than fine. They're amazing.
Let's go. I love that. So talk to me, for real estate. I know you bought your first property in 2003. Yeah. So what was the intention for that? Was that just your own primary? Was that you wanted to build a business and go all into investing and start systemizing things? Where's the mindset around that?
Good question. So it was actually in 2002, I bought the house in Vienna. And then in 2003, I bought my first investment house based on the guy buying my house next door to the one I actually bought.
Yeah.
So I got the traditional loan. I don't even know what the interest rate was, 4 or 5% at the time. No, once I talked to that guy, Brandon, I was working for a real estate developer. I never wanted to work for someone. I wanted to have control. I wanted to control my own destiny. I wanted to have a family life. I didn't want to have to call in and be like, hey, I want to go on vacation. Is that okay? No. My dad was an attorney, and I could never imagine my dad calling anyone and asking them like something. So I kind of had that kind of just in me, right?
Sure.
So no, when I bought my first house, it was after I made up my mind, this is going to be my business. My dad actually pioneered kind of TV advertising for attorneys back in the early 80s. Like he was doing it. He literally, his partners were like, we're not going to do that. And he said, okay, I'm leaving. And he went and found 2 new partners, and he built his entire business over like 30 years on TV advertising. So I'm like, I've never seen a TV ad for selling your house fast. So I'm going to do that. And that's what I did. I started off spending like $15 spots at like 2 a.m. on local CBS channel. And we just started with $5,000 a month. And now we're spending a lot more than that.
Yeah. Times have changed. So you were getting leads that way, closing on the deals and starting to take territory. And then when did you actually start, hiring on people to help you grow this business?
So in this 8-month sludge of trying to find my first deal, I was looking for a partner because I was so tunnel vision, Think and Grow Rich, the book. Like I just knew this was going to be my career.
Yep.
So I was looking for a partner, and man, did I interview a lot of shady people that I was just like, no chance. And I came across this one guy. I actually bought, this is a funny story. The second house I ever bought, I put a We Buy Houses sign in the front yard. And Robert Sheeman is one of the original gurus in this business. He taught me one of the only real estate seminars I've ever been to in Vegas, like in 2002. He's like, ask this to everybody, and it's going to make you $1 million. Do you know someone who's buying or selling a house? So this lady calls me. I had a We Buy Houses sign up, but I'd already sold it, but I just put the sign up. And she goes, is that house for sale in Manassas Park? And I go, no, it's sold. But I could have hung up. It was a Friday night. But I listened to my buddy Robert, and I said, do you have anyone else? She goes, oh, she was a truck driver. And I'm pretty sure she was drinking that night. She goes, my mom has a house in Arlington she wants to sell me. I go, do you have any idea what price range? She goes, I think she wants like around 320, but let me call her. I'll call you back. She calls back. She goes, I got her down to 285. You want it for 285? And I'm like thinking, Arlington? This is 2002, but a house in Arlington for 285? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I freaking bought that house, and that was my third house, and I made $60,000 on it. And a couple months before that, my salary for the year was $60,000. Sorry, I made 40. The check said 60, but I had $20,000 in rehab. And I said to the title agent, she was like, oh, congratulations. Actually, it was a $90,000 check, but it was like 50 in rehab. So I was like, I only made 40. She was like, Brad, you only made 40. Most people only make $60,000 all year. So yeah, that was the story. So ask that question of every single person you know at the gas station, at the hair salon, whatever. Do you know someone who wants to buy or sell a house?
I love that. That is such a good tip. So what does the business look like now? Like over this many years in the game, 20 plus years, how many people are a part of the team? Like how the hell are you guys running this where you are putting in, that 1 hour a week?
So I got a little sidetracked on the partner story.
Oh, yeah, please.
The house in Arlington, I put a We Buy Houses sign up. He calls me because he lived in Arlington. He was like, I can't believe someone's in my hood buying houses. Because he thought you had to only, you could only buy in the really low income areas. Yeah. So he calls me, and I'm like, hey, let's go have a cheesesteak at this Latino cheesesteak, best cheesesteak in the world. And over that lunch, he had $10,000 to his name. Or at least he told me that. And I had 0 to my name pretty much at that point in time. And he's like, hey, I'll put in $10,000. And I'm like, okay, let's be partners. So I still have that partner. I consider him a good friend. We have an amazing relationship. And so he's running the business with a CFO that we brought in a couple of years ago that's really great. And then we just hired a high-level guy from a huge operation in Florida that's no longer in business. So it's kind of the 3 of them running it now.
Okay, so 3 of them
with about 17 full-time employees and probably another 12 or so full-time virtual assistants.
Okay. And then what is your role or involvement at this point?
I'm still the CEO on the books, right? I show up to a manager's meeting. We have at 9:30. I don't show up. Sorry, it's on Teams. 9:30 on Thursday mornings, and then I go to the gym 5-6 days a week. So there's a sales call 4 days of the week at 8:45. So sometimes I just jump on and listen maybe I'll throw something in. But honestly, I don't have to do any of that because I trust my partner. I trust my CFO. I trust this new hire. I don't want, I have a great relationship with everyone. Like we now have the best culture and team we've ever had. And actually, I lost my Aura ring broke, and I asked the guys, did it show up? And yesterday I got a picture with 3 of them, like a selfie with the Aura ring. And I was like, oh, I really miss you guys. I miss your pretty faces. And they're like, we miss you too. So I don't want it to go away because I really love these people and I provide them a living. So it's just fantastic. I'm so blessed to be where I'm at right now. It's just quite amazing. Sometimes I got to pinch myself.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And you said basically the last 3 years is when you've kind of pulled yourself more out of the business and doing the day-to-day, allowing them to run more of it.
Yeah. So I've probably over the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've really started to try to extract myself just because a lot of times I was the one creating the chaos. And I think people that could do the job better than I could. And when I came back, so 3 years ago, I was trying to get my son help for anxiety. And I was on a call with a performance coach, and she was like, you blink like crazy when you talk about your childhood. You may have some unresolved childhood trauma that's affecting your son's anxiety. And I was just like, no way. My behavior is not affecting my son. I'm a great dad. I'm a single dad. I do everything for him. She's like, but you want to come out work with my husband and I go, sure, I'll try anything because I tried everything. And damn if she wasn't right. I learned the hard way that if your kids have behavioral problems and you want to know the source, just grab your spouse, go in the bathroom and look in the mirror because you're the cause. It's not your fault. You're the cause. So I went out and worked with them, and over this 3-hour session in this Airbnb bedroom, my life changed so profoundly, Brandon, that I came back and I looked around at all the people I know, and I know a ton of people that are suffering, right? And by suffering, I mean they drink too much, they're overweight, they have a shitty marriage, they have anxiety, depression. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the reason they have this is the same exact reason that I had my issues. Yep. And it's not hard at all to fix it. I did it in 3 hours after going to 3 decades of therapy and 50 different marriage counseling sessions. And I did it in 3 hours. Like my head was spinning. I was like, oh my God, what if I could share this? So I just started sharing it kind of like informally. And people were like, wow, you're really good. Like I'm getting more than my therapist. And then I started studying and I just couldn't get enough of it. And so I was like, I can't get enough of this, but I got to kind of drag myself to the office sometimes for the real estate stuff. And I was like, why did I get into real estate? Oh my God. It was just to make a bunch of money because I thought the money would bring me worthiness and happiness. And it never did. And so I'm like, where do I want to spend the rest of my life? I want to spend giving the gift that I got to other people so they can experience this incredible freedom and happiness that I experience now on a daily basis. So I was just like, I kind of fast tracked. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I want to wake up. This is the definition of success to me. Waking up every single day with a sense of purpose, doing what you absolutely love to do. That wasn't flipping houses for me. I was pretty good at it. But that's not why God put me here. He put me here to change people's lives, reconnect them, get rid of their addictions and their suffering.
I love that, man. That's so profound. It's incredible. Finding the purpose is such a big thing. Going back to, I assume you're more of a visionary person, right?
Totally. And my partner was too. So you can imagine the chaos that we had for 17 years.
Yeah. And so as he's, hired on a CFO and getting more of integrator roles to kind of run and manage the business, as visionary people, you can kind of just get in the way and make things a little bit more chaotic. So that it was a smart intention of getting out and just being that high level view.
Yes. I think as much as my team loves me, I think they're also like relieved because we did an exit interview like 10 years ago. And I'll never forget what this guy said. His name was Justin. He said, if you don't like what Brad or Judd are proposing, just wait a week.
Yeah.
Because they'll be on to something different. That was it. And that this is a huge lesson. So listen to this, folks.
Yes.
It was because I didn't feel enough. I didn't know it, but it was unconscious. I didn't feel enough. So I had to always be distracting myself or trying the next best thing. I lost $9 million in 5 business mistakes. All 5 of those business mistakes I can trace back to I did it because I didn't feel enough and I was trying to prove my worthiness. Wow. Now I don't need to go take over the world because I have nothing to prove. Yeah. So I'm just like, hey, let's have this methodical, climb. Don't worry about going to set the world on fire. Before it was like, if I don't set the world on fire, nobody's going to love me and I'm going to be nobody.
Wow.
And I'm not the only one in the world that's like that. There's a shit. You look at politicians on both sides of the Biden and Trump. They both have the exact same issue I'm talking about.
I think everybody, stems from it, but you see it a lot more commonly in the entrepreneur space because people are always trying to prove themselves, working their ass off and neglecting their family or whatever it may be to be able to make more. It's like, when is there enough to a certain degree? But looking back at like your 10-year-old self and what happened, what was done to you intentionally and not intentionally, like there's so many things to unpack there and try to make sense of the situation so that you can try to work on a solution to get out of it. So talk to me about what that looked like for you. I know you said you were searching for a very long time. You finally found something within 3 hours, which is incredible. What did that break down to?
Yeah, let me touch on something you said a second ago, and then I'll come back to this.
Yeah.
You said that that almost everyone has these issues, and you are right. I think every human being to some degree has a level of I am not enough. And when you are not enough, nothing, like you said, can ever be enough. It doesn't matter if you have $100 million or $2 million or $1 billion. It's never enough. There's billionaires now that are so freaking sad and so lonely because the money didn't do what they thought it was going to do. And the money isn't going to do what you think it's going to do either. And I know you're going to be someone's like, you don't know what you're talking about because you have money. No. It doesn't matter that I have money. Money's not going to do it. So if you're sitting here, because if I'd have heard this podcast 5 years ago, I might have tuned out by now and said, that Brandon guy and Brad, I'm enough because I thought I was enough. I thought I had high self-esteem. I thought I didn't care what other people thought. But the truth is I did. So if you're listening to this and you're like, geez, I wonder if I'm in that bucket. Go take my 3-minute self-love quiz at bradchandler.com/quiz and see where you stand. And if you score mild self-love or lack of self-love, there's extreme and then those two. I promise you, if you score one of the lower two rungs, every single area of your life is negatively impacted to some degree. And when you change it, and here's how you do it, everything in your life, your relationships, your business, your health, your financial situation, your net worth are all going to get better. So what did I do? This is a crazy thing. In 3 hours, we had this conversation where this person asked me, where in your childhood did you feel like you didn't have control or control was taken from you or you had stress or you had trauma? And I made a list and then we walked through them and we talked about them. And he's like, well, what did that mean to you? And it came back to this bad thing was happening to me. My dad hit me. My dad made fun of me and hit me with a belt, made fun of me because I deserved it. I wasn't enough. I deserved to be punished. And he's like, did you deserve to lose all that money? And I'm like, wow, I punished myself. Like, my marriage is not working. So we figured out, was that true? Did it have anything to do with Brad, the child? No, it had to do with my dad. And was it his fault? No, because he was doing the best he did from his childhood. And this is the multi-generational curse, right? Yep. The best gift that you can ever give your child, because your child wasn't asked to be brought into this world, is to break the multi-generational curse. And how do you do it, Brandon? You do it by teaching them how to love themselves unconditionally. How can you ever teach a child how to love themselves unconditionally if you don't love yourself unconditionally? You can't. And if you take the self-love quiz, you'll understand if you love yourself, if you talk negative to yourself, if you drink a lot, if you smoke a lot, if you eat a lot, if you're pissed off, if you always have to be right, if you're judging yourself, if you're judging other people, those are all signs that you lack self-love. And you weren't born that way. This was all learned. So if it was learned, it can be unlearned. Can you see the level of excitement between you talking about real estate and then when we get to this topic?
Yeah. It's a little different. Yeah. Which is crazy. It's so impactful when you start breaking this down. Like you said, everybody has something in their past because nobody's perfect and generational curses start just taking effect and you don't even realize it or acknowledge it at the time. But it does make and create the individual that you are 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road and you don't even realize it. So all the little things that you do on a regular basis, your habits, your things that you kind of run away to, like alcohol, drugs, addictions, whatever it may be, it all stems from this not being enough or figuring out, what happened to you from your parents that possibly happened to them and how do you break off those curses so it's not keep on taking place, going down that rabbit hole of self-development and loving yourself, right? So that you can teach others how to love themselves.
So Brandon, what you just said, when you listed off those things, drinking, eating, whatever it is, right? Yeah. What the medical terminology quotes as symptoms, right? These things. Yeah. Those are actually solutions. So if you're going to a therapist, you actually show up with the solution because the solution is to drink a bunch. Now, bear with me here. you're drinking and it's causing a negative effect in your life. Your eating is causing a negative effect in your life. But what your brain is saying is that even though that's negative, it's keeping me from feeling something that's even more painful. And that thing that's even more painful is what was formed in childhood. But here's the thing, that thing we think is more painful is just an untruth that we use to get ourselves through the situations that were stressful as a child. As an adult, you can now look at those things and say, whoa, when I told my mom I didn't love her or I hated her because she wouldn't give me a cookie and she cried for 3 hours and then my dad came home and hit me because of it, I learned that I can't be myself, and if I am, I'm not lovable. So now I've got to drink to avoid that pain. When you say, wait, did this have anything to do with you, or did this have to do with your mother's lack of emotional intelligence? And you're like, whoa, it had to do with my mother's lack of emotional intelligence. Then the symptom, the drinking thing, goes away like that.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that.
Because your brain can't have two conflicting things. Well, is it true that if I'm myself, my love is going to be taken? And then you think, well, last week I told my wife something and I was myself and she didn't take my love. So what's the truth? Oh, it was that when I was a kid and my mom, I told my mom I hated her. That wasn't what's true. So then boom, your symptoms can stop. But not many people know this, because do you realize it was only 20 years ago that they realized that this was possible? They thought that those thoughts that you created at 6 years old were buried in your implicit memory forever. Now through science, they know that you can literally take that neuron out and put the true story in place.
Yeah. That's good. And everybody has their own, truth behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we try to rationalize for our parents and say, well, they had it. And of course, there's a reason behind everything, right? Of what happened to you, but it's still your truth of however you felt as a human being, which is very, very crucial. Brad, I have a question for you, because I've been in group sessions like this in the past. And, one of the instructions was to kind of go down that rabbit hole, try to figure out at the 10-year-old self, what were some of the things that happened, the big moments that put us, that didn't feel good or what have you. Some people out there find themselves forgetting memories or totally blacking out and had a lot of trauma that they just can't recall certain childhood things. It's probably a coping mechanism, right? Like your body's trying to shut off. But how would you educate somebody? Because I'm sure you've ran across this in the past to help out other people. How would you help somebody that may be thinking that listening to this episode?
This is a two-part. This is what a phenomenal question, by the way. This is a two-part question or answer, because you'll understand why. Yeah. The first part is that you may not recall that in your brain, like on a conscious level, but you never forget what happened to you starting from the third trimester of being in your mother's womb. That's the implicit memory. That's the subconscious. So what do I use? I use a technique called hypnosis, because I believe it's the best tool on the planet, because it allows you to access the subconscious mind. So I've had countless clients that didn't remember anything before the age of 5 or 2, and then come up with these, oh my gosh, my mother was suicidal, right? So that's number one. You can do it through hypnosis. What they have figured out in the last 20 years, Brandon, is that you don't always necessarily have to go back to childhood. So let's use the drinking symptom. The drinking is I drink when my wife comes home because I don't want to have a hard talk that might lead me to open my heart and get hurt. Okay, so the mismatch that I talked about earlier. Let's go find a place in your life where you did open up and you didn't get your heart hurt. So you don't necessarily have to go back. So it's good sometimes to go back, but you don't have to. And I know people avoid this type of work because they're like, I don't want to go find out what happened. I don't want to rehash that. You've got to move through the pain of the truth to get to the freedom. And we're talking about a matter of hours. We're not talking about rehashing this every Tuesday on some therapist's couch for 15 years, right? This can be done like that.
Yeah. And sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better, but you got to go back to that time and that situation to make sense of the situation, right? And it's really hard. There's some people that want to shut down, like, I don't want to go there anymore. It was too traumatic. It was too horrible. But realistically, what you're saying realistically is that you are okay with not seeing the full potential, the full happiness that you truly deserve. at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, because it's going to keep you from finding the self-love that you were born with. And if you don't have the self-love and you have this negative self-talk, oh my God, not only is it going to mess up your life from like a relationship and a health standpoint or a physical standpoint, but it kills you you're physically. Like most diseases are born in inflammation. And one of the major causes of inflammation is stress.
Yep.
Stress. So self-contempt, the opposite of self-love. This is from Mark Mincola. He's a famous guy. He's helped like 60,000 people. This opposite of self-love is self-contempt. Self-contempt breeds dis-ease. So your body's out of ease, and dis-ease breeds disease. So we have so many people with autoimmune diseases and doctors who say it's, I'm blanking on the word, but it's like no known disease. It starts with an E. There is a reason you have an autoimmune. There is a reason, idiopathic. There is a reason it's idiopathic. Yep. It's because of your thoughts that are in your subconscious mind that are driving this stress and this fight or flight, that once you do this work, it all goes away.
Yep. It's also, I've seen recently too, studies of like cancer and things that build up upon you. It's all stems. It's actually a mechanism from like toxins and horrible things that your body's creating. And so it's trying to fight that. So it's really creating one little pocket of something deadly that's going to hurt in the long run that you got to get removed. But it's all these toxins and things that aren't serving you, right? So, and we can naturally produce it.
Yeah, cancer is caused by stress. It's fueled by stress. They'll tell you they don't know if it's caused, but look, I'm not a doctor, but there's a lot of really smart doctors I've read about that say it is caused by stress. Whether you deal with it and do the work, if you don't, nature will deal with it through disease and death. You get to pick.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. Yeah, so I definitely recommend doing it sooner than later. So I will be taking that self-love quiz myself. Where can we find that again?
bradchandler.com/quiz.
Love it. Okay, awesome. And then so you mentioned hypnosis. So this is a practice that you like to focus on it's one mechanism that is helpful in your opinion?
Oh, I mean, it's so freaking helpful. It's a 5-week program, and in one of the sessions, it's a 2-hour session in week 3. We go into the hypnosis, and most people like hypnosis. That's crazy, or am I going to be chasing a mouse around or something like that? No. It's like meditating. I walk you down some stairs. You're in a deeply relaxed state. You do some breathing, and the reason is because when you relax, you can kind of push away all the conscious thoughts and just focus right into the subconscious. Your subconscious mind drives 95% of your behavior on a daily basis. So when you go to a shitty job, you don't work out, you come home, you drink 3 glasses of wine, you eat a pizza, and you're like, why do I do this?
Yeah.
You don't know, you can't say it, but your subconscious mind does. So all we do is we just go into hypnosis and we say, hey, Brandon, you came to me for depression. I'm making this up.
Yep.
What is the cause of take me to a scene, a place, a time, an event that has all to do with your cause of depression. And you're going to say, well, my dad didn't show up to my 7th grade birthday party. He was the only one, or, he was never there. He worked all the time. That's the source. And your subconscious mind already knows the source of your problems. You just don't know how to access it.
That's good. I love that. Have you ever been in a position where it's still hard for the individual to recall or bring up those things, or because it's in the hypnosis type of state of mind, it's less, we're trying to control it. It's more just, it comes off natural?
I would say less than 5% of the people, but I did take clients before I became certified in hypnosis. So it's almost like hypnosis is like the icing on the cake. I can still get to where I need to go because I wasn't in hypnosis when I went through my major transformation.
Yep.
So we can still get there. But yeah, very, very few people don't come up with the scenes.
I love that. Yeah, that's so impressive. So how long have you been doing this? And obviously you get very fulfilled with it because of the breakthroughs that it brought to you. And obviously, finances is great. Having the business to be able to supply the lifestyle and take care of, having a giving heart and blessing other people and so forth and continuing the growth. But it also gives you the freedom to focus on, passion and helping out more people with breakthroughs. So how long have you been doing this, and what does it look like for the future for you? Yeah, so
I've been doing it now I really started studying 3 years ago, and I took my first client over 2 years ago. I woke up to this text this morning, Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for you, Brad. Your program has changed my life. I can't express the gratitude that I feel, but I'm a different person. I'll share more when we meet next, but this graph shows it all. And the graph is this was a pretty analytical dude. He tracked his drinking, and his drinking went from high to non-existent.
Yeah.
So it's just, look, getting that text would have been way more fulfilling than having my partner call me and say, hey, we just did a $200,000 wholesale deal in California.
Sure.
So what does it look like? It looks like this is my life's passion and purpose. And I just keep getting better and better because that's all I want to do is just help my clients more and more. So I turned 50 last year. I'm manifesting to live to be 110. And right now I work on the individual and we're starting to talk about relationships, because if you come to me with an issue, a personal issue, I can promise you that you have relationship problems. It's just the way it works, because a relationship, then it's never about the actual relationship. It's the relationship. The problems exist in relationship between the individual's relationship with themselves. So we're going from individual to relationships to I'm going to teach life's purpose. Want to get into sexuality because there's a whole nother realm of that. And then finally, now you've got all that stuff just humming. I'm a health and longevity nut. So I'm going to build kind of different legs of the business. We're going to probably start doing retreats. We may end up buying a center or something in like Central America or Costa Rica. I'm a big boater. I've got a sizable boat now. I want to buy a bigger boat and actually have couples out for 3 or 4 days, like in the Caribbean, where we do them individually and then we do couples work. So when they step off that boat 3 or 4 days later, their relationship, their self, their health, everything is like completely changed.
I love that. What would you say about relationship with higher power and like God to be able to really, get the self-love as well?
Yeah. So this is a deep question, right? I'm a believer in God, and my spirituality has been increased and strengthened through this process. I believe it's easier if you believe that we did come from one creator. And the reason it's easier is because no matter whether you believe in God or not, I think you're going to believe we came from one creator. Do you think that creator said, you know what, I'm going to make Brandon a little bit better than Brad? No, you are just as important as any other human being, living or dead. So the connection to a higher power, the connection to knowing that we're all just one because everything is energy, I think is helpful and powerful. Could I take someone who is an atheist and teach them how to be happy? I think I could. I think I could. Is it kind of better? It's certainly better to be connected, knowing that we all came from the same place. I now believe that I grew up Catholic, so I believe that you were born, your soul was born, and then you either went to heaven and hell, right? I don't believe that anymore. I believe that this planet's been around for millions of years. There's no chance that we could have been put here for this. I think our souls have been here, and I think our souls are going to be here forever. I think we we go to something else. So that's
Love it.
We won't really know the true answer for a while. Or we may never know. I think you know a lot in the transition from as you're dying between where we are today, our souls, and where we go. I think you learn a lot. But I think once you get to the new place, you kind of forget it because then you got to start over again.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I love that. Well, very good, man. Well, I appreciate your time today. You do have a podcast. Would love to hear a little bit more about it, how often, what you talk about on there, and then how people could get a hold of you.
Yeah, so we're cranking out 2 shows a week now. We just are starting again next week. We took a little, we went from 2 shows because I couldn't keep up to 1, and I just love it so much, and the popularity has exploded. We're in the top 3% of 3.2 million podcasts worldwide, so I'm really proud of that. It's called How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. If you like this type of subject, oh my gosh, you're going to love it. So it's on every major platform. Just go search How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. How to get in touch with me, bradchandler.com. Take the first step in this journey. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your kids. You owe it to your spouse or your family members. Just go take the quiz, bradchandler.com/quiz, and just see where you stand, because how can you ever change if you don't have awareness? 5 years ago, I had zero awareness. I had no idea that I lacked self-love. I had no idea the implications and the negative consequences it was having in my life. And as soon as I figured that out and changed it, oh my gosh, life is just beautiful.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you giving your time today and giving back to the listeners and the passion that you hold for making the impact. That's what it's all about. So I appreciate you, and congratulations on all the success of the real estate business, but also making the impact in what you're doing today, which is awesome. That's true purpose.
Thank you.
I love it, man. Guys, if you want to get a hold of me, you can always do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise, check out on Instagram Credit Counsel Elite. You could also on Facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. If you want to get a hold of us and learn how we are teaching business owners just like you how to be able to get up to $500,000 at 0% interest every 6 months, then check out creditcounselelite.com. That's www.creditcounselelite.com. We'll be able to go over where you're currently at, where you're looking to go, and help you navigate to get there. By all means, if you have not already, make sure that you subscribe to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. You'll get the newest notification every Monday. Leave that 5-star review after listening to a few episodes, and greatly appreciate all love and support. As always, you guys are incredible, and we'll see you on the next episode. Till next time, God bless. Appreciate you, Brad. Thanks.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.